This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, baby, Riley freaking Greene. At times it looked a little grim tonight, but Riley Greene said not to worry. Come on, all aboard. They'll bring us home, and the Tigers win it 5-4. No such thing as a losing streak with these gritty Tigers. They bounce back with a big win and win it late. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma, and this is the Locked On Tigers postcast, where we bring you all the angles post-game, your team each and every day, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the daily show, Locked On Tigers, as well. And this is your post-game destination. It's your instant reaction show, and it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're going to talk about Riley Greene, and I'll say it. I think the Tigers needed this one. They needed a bounce-back win, and they got it. Showed some grittiness. Tarik Skubal was on the mound, and it wasn't a normal Tarik Skubal outing where you give the Tigers a lead with Tarik Skubal on the mound and look out. That's not what happened. We'll go through how it all played out. Of course, I'll have my talking point, our turning point, and our player of the game. That's all coming up next. Buckle up and dial it in. It's time for a live Locked On Tigers postcast. We begin with, as we often do, well, at least when I remember to do it, what we're going to be talking about in this one, because at 4-0 early after the Kerry Carpenter home run, after the Tigers added on, and then the Riley Greene 2-run homer with a 4-0 lead and Tarik Skubal on the mound, I thought I had what we'd be talking about. I thought we'd be talking about a nice, convincing win with Tarik Skubal going at least longer than what he did in 5 2/3, and that this was going to be a kick the feet up on the couch, smooth sailing kind of game, and it just wasn't that. The Cardinals, give them a lot of credit. This is also a resilient team. They're playing a great brand of baseball, and they were able to tie this game, which left it up to the late inning heroics from Riley Greene, and my goodness, what a performance. That's what we're talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
You know, we made a big deal, and probably rightfully so, of Riley Greene's slow start. Out of the gates, he was struggling. He looked like it was a challenge for him on both at the plate, and I would even make the case sometimes defensively. There was a little bit of a hitch in his giddy-up, and I, for one, owe Riley Greene an apology because he's back to playing at an all-star level. And tonight was just a great example of that. 3 for 4, the single, the home run, the double, and 4 runs batted in, and really just representative of how crucial it is to have a guy like Riley Greene that can night in and night out play at that all-star level when you need him the most. And, you know, we've talked about the leadership component that he brings to this clubhouse, the glue guy, and he's homegrown, and you just can't say enough about Riley Greene in this one. And I think the takeaway of this win is going to be the performance of Riley Greene and the 4 runs batted in, and the way he was able to backpack this Tigers team to victory. He said, all aboard, you know, I got it. And the late RBI double scoring Zach McKinstry is an example of how Riley Greene, time after time, clutch plate appearance after clutch plate appearance in this one, really powered the Tigers to victory. So all love for Riley Greene. And as I mentioned, I just think he represents what this Tigers team is all about. Let's get into some of your comments before we continue on. Always love to hear from the people, and make sure you use that comment box if you are watching live on the YouTube broadcast. And of course, if you're catching the audio only broadcast, here's what people had to say in the instant reaction show. All right, DT Lions, Baez has gone quiet at bat. He has. He made a great catch in center field late in the innings there with Will Vest on the mound, which Will Vest, got to give him a lot of credit as well. And pitching that 8th inning, getting the win for the Detroit Tigers. He's now 4-0. We talked about how impressive he had been yesterday in ranking in the top in all of baseball as a reliever in several different statistical categories, but more stability from Will Vest in the bullpen here this evening. Now, that being said, you would have liked to see more from Hanafy, and Holton continues to be a concern, giving up the run that he did in that 7th inning, and Hanafy unable to hold it for Skubal in that 6th inning. And again, I go back to this being an unexpected turn in the case of Tarik Skubal being gifted a 4-run lead and not being able to sustain that all the way through. And that's not a knock on him, because he is human, and given how great he's been over the course of the last 2 years, you just expect, this dominating performance every single night. And he had it early, that's for sure. I mean, he was attacking the zone. He was fanning guys early on, but the third time through the order is where this Cardinals team started to find their stride offensively. You know what? They drive Mercedes as well. And that's just a cheesy way of saying this Cardinals team's also really good. These guys are Major League Baseball players, so on any given night, they can also have their way with an opposing pitcher. But we've talked about this bullpen being a concern. We've discussed it at length, especially over the weekend against the Blue Jays and what happened there. So tonight's another night where, hey, this bullpen wasn't necessarily rock solid, lights out like we have come to expect and really hope. So there's more of a discussion to be had in that regard. Demetrius McNeil getting in on the comments saying, what a night for Riley Greene, but here comes the bullpen day. That's right, bullpen day in the finale tomorrow afternoon at Busch Stadium. Braylon Dennis says, Riley Greene saved our lives. Yeah, I don't know if he saved our lives, but he certainly brought home the victory tonight in a game that the Tigers, again, I say had to have, but I think it's because we've gotten so spoiled with how good this start has been. And so that being said, you feel like, hey, you can't lose 2 games in a row. We don't lose series around here. We've won 4 of our last 5 series, and now you've got an opportunity to make it 5 of the last 6. My man, Gary Myers checking in just with the Riley Greene, keeping it simple. I like it. Rufus T. Cat says the Cards are no joke this year. Tomorrow is going to be an uphill battle. They better get a good night's sleep. There you go. It's not like last night that was a super late night after the rain delay. So this game moved pretty quickly, all things considered. My man, YouTube user checking in. Back in the win column, baby. We will take that all night. Exactly. It doesn't have to be how you expect. It doesn't have to be pretty. At the end of the day, you just got to check that W in the left-hand column. Braylon and Tommy and Will, too. That's right. I should have mentioned that sooner, how good Tommy Kahnle was in that 9th inning, Mr. Changeup. And, the 1-run save opportunity, I feel like sometimes closers, when they just have the 1-run lead, they hone in a little bit more. They dial it in, and it's not to say that with a 2-run or 3-run lead that they're not as focused, but man, you talk about being assertive and pitching with a mission in that 9th inning. That's what you saw from Tommy Kahnle. I mean, it didn't even really take all that much. He gets his 6th save of the season, a 12-pitch inning, 8 strikes, and really just 1, 2, 3 mowed down that Cardinals lineup in the 9th inning to preserve the victory. So kind of nice where you get the Tigers going ahead, and then you get the nice, I won't say it's never easy, but just a smooth sailing 9th inning for Tommy Kahnle there. Great job. All right. Ricolo says, let's need to get to the bottom of the order a little bit more active. I think you're saying we need to get the bottom of the order a little bit more active. And I would agree with that. Tonight, just no production from Badu, Baez, 0 for 4. Jake Rogers, good to see him back in the lineup, of course, but the production not there. I mean, first night back, obviously we'll give him a little wiggle room and a little bit of grace there, trying to get back up to game speed. But that's coming. I mean, the reinforcements are coming, and that's exciting to envision what this Tigers team will continue to look like as they get healthier and healthier and continue to pace all of Major League Baseball. We're not even just saying the American League anymore. It's all of Major League Baseball with the best record in the bigs. Gary Myers says McKinstry needs free dinner. I agree. Zach McKinstry, Benetti made this point the other night with his WAR statistics, wins above replacement. He's among the best in Major League Baseball, and you could certainly make the case that Zach McKinstry could be an all-star. And given his story, his success story, that's some motivating stuff. I mean, this is a guy that played at Central Michigan and Mount Pleasant and has found his way on to the best team in the bigs and making impact after impact night after night. All right. Zinter says 2 straight starts for Scoobs where he was handed a 3-4 run lead in the middle of the game and it got away, but found a way to win both. Yeah, and I think we all know Tarik Skubal is the ultimate competitor, and he's going to be tough on himself and, go back to the tape and see where things went wrong and why he wasn't able to sustain that lead. I mean, Arenado's a guy that has been doing damage all season long, and this is a guy that could have been up for grabs and on the block. But now that the Cardinals are playing at the level they are, I don't see Arenado on the move. I would love to see him in Detroit. In fact, I know that's something that the Twitter sphere has loved to discuss, what a package for acquiring Nolan Arenado could look like. And I'm in on that conversation, especially after watching him tonight. That's one thing for sure. Bubble Popper said, what a win. Made my night. All right. Now, that being said, Kerry Carpenter is my favorite Tiger. That's from Drum. Well, he had a leadoff home run tonight. I talked about his struggles in the leadoff spot yesterday, and he shut me right up with the leadoff home run. You love to see that. We got a lot more to get to, and when you have a Tigers win, you just have so much to cover. We're already cruising right along on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. When we come back, player of the game and so much more next on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Don't go anywhere. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your account and wondered, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, but that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. No. It's much more than that. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Let me say that again. It's time to start building wealth. You have the surprising insights, which is a huge part of the Monarch Money process. When you start using that Monarch Money, you'll realize just how much you're spending on food delivery or maybe some other things that you could cut out and budget a little bit more friendlier and a little bit smarter. I love the easy collaboration tools that make managing your money with your partner smoother than ever. And you can track your shared and personal accounts to set goals together with your significant other and stay on the same page without any of that stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. We are cruising right along on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. As always, thanks so much for tuning in. Always happy to chat and collaborate, commemorate, commiserate, whatever it may be, win or lose. Last night, the Tigers fall to the St. Louis Cardinals. Tonight, it is a win, 5-4, and in dramatic fashion after Riley Greene knocked home Zach McKinstry in the 9th inning to push the Tigers ahead 5-4. When Will Vest gets the win, he's 4-0. Tommy Kahnle gets the save, his 6th. Now, I think we can all agree, so I haven't even asked to put your player of the game in the comments, but here's your cue. You got basically, while the intro is playing, for your submission to enter it in the chat for player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Riley Greene. All right, we can all agree that tonight was Riley Greene's night. I already said his line, but worth repeating his stat line. 4 runs batted in for the 5. The only other RBI, of course, the Kerry Carpenter lead-off home run. But, man, Riley Greene got it done. He had the 2-run homer, and they flashed the stat graphic that Riley Greene, measuring wise, has has the steepest swing in all of Major League Baseball, and that will contribute to some of the power numbers. He really has the ability to get underneath the baseball, and the angle of his swing is just perpetuating so much power. And again, the power numbers certainly reflecting that with his 12th home run of the season. That was his 10th double that brought in Zach McKinstry. So all great things from Riley Greene, our player of the game tonight. Turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I don't want this to come across as taking the obvious way or the easy way out, but the game turned when the Cardinals were able to mount a comeback after Tarik Skubal, was gifted a 4-0 lead. And you ask anybody, a 4-0 lead and Tarik Skubal on the mound, you think you win that game going away. And it just wasn't that way. So a couple of, softly hit balls, some infield singles, and Hanafy's inability to get out of that sixth inning certainly contributed to the Cardinals making that comeback and coming back, and some infield singles with Sweeney diving at that one, which, by the way, I don't know how Sweeney missed that other fly ball. I mean, that's you just can't have that. You got to be major leaguers out there. But that being said, good to at least get the win tonight, and it didn't have to be pretty, but the Tigers get it done with the late run. So the late run would probably be more of a turning point than anything else. So the game turns with Riley Greene hitting Zach McKinstry home in that top of the 9th inning to push the Tigers ahead for good 5-4. So what a fun one this one was tonight. We'll do it again tomorrow. Rubber match, afternoon game in St. Louis. And the Tigers will look to win their 5th series in their last 6. It is a bullpen day, so could be interesting in that sense. A couple more comments to get to. Kevin Tanner says Riley Greene is unstoppable right now. Tigers need to give him the green and lock him down with an extension. Yeah, they got to do that with Tarik Skubal too. That would be nice. Interesting comment here from IMDN1423. I wish we could get the Bo Brisky back that we had last season. We need him in the pen. I agree. There's a lot of guys you could say that. Tyler Holton, another one. I would love to see vintage 2024 Tyler Holton as well. So the bullpen certainly still a work in progress, and they got to be better in that regard. I'm confident they will be. But as great as Two Fools Production points out, great win, and you love to see it. All right. Great talking with everybody on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. And if you missed anything, don't you worry. We got a Locked On Tigers coming out later this evening. We got the live Locked On Tigers postcast, the instant reaction show. And as always, you can interact with me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. And boy, is it a lot of fun to be a fan of the Detroit Tigers. They get it done. And Bubble Popper with the last question, who are you most excited to have return? I mean, Parker Meadows, I think about what he brought to this team last year. I always think about that grand slam in San Diego last year. That was such a turning point in the season, and thinking of having him back. And I know what he does defensively is more impactful typically than what he brings to the plate. But man, he was, I'm excited to see him and some of those plays he had in Seattle last year, those late nights, and he's saving games, robbing home runs. I mean, what he brings to the game is really, really an exciting dynamic to add to this Tigers team. But have a wonderful rest of your evening. We'll talk to you next time on a live Locked On Tigers postcast here on Locked On Tigers.